What's up, everybody? My name is Scott Waters, and welcome to Live to Metal. Gonna be doing a rock metal update. That's right, doing a rock and metal update. This is all Brazilian metal. All records except for this, what's playing in the background, which I thought I'd show first of all. This is DISAFFECTION, Brazilian thrash metal band from the mid-2000s. Unfortunately, this is the only album they ever, full-length album they released. They had an EP before this as well, I believe. This came out on Bombworks Records, and great album cover. I really like that cover and the back cover. Nice layout, whoever did that. But yeah, good stuff. I really enjoy them. I've been listening to that album quite a bit recently, actually. So anyhow, I got this package from Marco Batalma. I believe that's how you say his last name. I apologize, Marco, if I'm butchering your last name, but and Marco is from Brazil, and he sent me this cool package of Brazilian metal, all from the 80s, and he sent me these cool postcards from Brazil as well. First card, each one has different notes in the back, but the first card is just kind of a personal note. But anyhow, the rest of the cards each explain something about each of the records in here. So I thought I would just put them in the same order as he had his in and share right away. So this first one, Antartes and TAURUS, which is Brazilian thrash metal band. I mean, this is just straightforward thrash metal from 1987, according to the card. This is a reissue on Metal Maximus Records. But yeah, this is straightforward thrash metal, very good stuff. Obviously inspired by the likes of, you know, Metallica, Testament, and the like, coming out of California in the 80s, but also inspired probably by, I'm sure, by the likes of bands like Sepultura and whatnot. Insert with the mandatory collage and lyrics. And yeah, it's fantastic stuff, really good. I never heard this band before, but really enjoyed this. If you like straightforward thrash metal, TAURUS is very, very good, well worth picking up. I have no idea where to find these from. Like I said, these were a gift, so it is also on a blue vinyl. So very cool. And TAURUS from Brazil, 1987. Now the next one is one I've always been curious about because, of course, I played in a band called Ultimatum for 20 years. So in doing searches online, I always come across this, Ultimatum. Now this is not the band Ultimatum from Brazil, which I kind of always assumed it was. I never really looked beyond, you know, seeing the cover online. I really didn't. So instead what this is, it's a split EP between two bands, and the split EP is called Ultimatum. The bands are called METALMORPHOSE and DOVAL ATLANTICA. And this is from early 80s, and well, I guess not that early, 85, but it sounds like it's from the early 80s. It sounds like it could have been recorded in 1982. You know, it's got that really raw, earthy production, you know, not well produced at all, which sounds like I'm putting it down, but it really isn't. It's kind of adds to the overall enjoyment of the album. Kind of like early Denim or early Raven, where, you know, that raw, almost live recording production that kind of adds to the sound. That's kind of what you get with these two bands here. Now, with METALMORPHOSE, you get kind of a push towards speed metal, more like a Exciter or a Raven or Anvil, where you're kind of pushing towards thrash metal, but not quite thrash metal. And then with the other band, DOVAL ATLANTICA, it's more straightforward heavy metal. Regardless, both are really good, very enjoyable. Highly recommend this one. Kind of wish I would have checked that out earlier, but Brazilian split EP between two bands, METALMORPHOSE and DOVAL ATLANTICA. This next one a lot of people probably know. Let's see, and here's the next card in that series. And this band is called Overdose, and this is from 1985. And this too is a split album with the first release from Sepultura. So you've got Sepultura, Bestial Devastation, very raw, very aggressive. Venom on speed kind of sound here, not unlike, you know, early Sodom or early Destruction, where it's just really like chaos under control, barely under control. That's kind of what you're going to get here. I remember these people calling these guys death metal back in the day, and while, you know, listening to it now, you're not going to really call it death metal. It's definitely in the thrash metal vein. You kind of hear that early death metal sound where it's just so guttural, so raw, so aggressive. That's kind of what you get with this band. Whereas opposed to Overdose, it's more straightforward thrash metal. You know, the machine gun riffing, the punk-inspired speed and delivery, you know. Very good stuff from both these bands, but very different bands too, so quite enjoyed both of them. I actually had never heard this one. I actually have this one on CD, but glad to have it on vinyl finally. This is a repressing, and I believe it's on a red vinyl. It is. So the red vinyl there, and it does have an insert, I believe. Maybe I'm wrong. Nope, no insert. So there you go. Oops, upside down. It's odd because one album is, so if I do it this way, it's upside down, but if I do it this way, it's right side up. No. Split EPs, one thing about them is, who do you put them with? I'll put this one with Sepultura, because chances are, if I'm looking for it, I'll be looking for Sepultura before I'll be looking for Overdose. No offense to Overdose, but it's just the way it is. Alright, next one up is, here's your next card in the Brazil series, and this is from 1987, and this is an album that most metal fans are going to know, but this is Schizophrenia by Sepultura. Again, Sepultura being, you know, I mean, what does Sepultura mean but grave or death? And so again, to me, this is the early beginnings of death metal, but very much still in the thrash metal vein. And people, if you know Sepultura at all, you know this album. It's a classic from them. They had to refine their sound. They've become better musicians. They had better recording by this time. So the whole thing is just so much. It's cleaner, but it's still raw and heavy. It's not as poorly recorded as Bestial Devastation's it is, but it's just every bit as raw and heavy as Bestial Devastation is. Again, like I said, they just became better musicians by this time. So the machine gun riffing is there, the more precise downpicking, the palm muting, the fast guitar solos, the fast downbeats. I mean, everything you want about thrash metal is in this album, and it's just fantastic Brazilian metal. This thing does come with a poster. I'm not going to take it out. It's a huge poster of the band, but really nice to have this one. It is, like I said, obviously a picture disc, so very cool. This is, let's see if it says when this thing came out on this little thing here. No, it doesn't say when the release was. So anyhow, regardless, Sepultura. Next album was the surprise of the package, because I wasn't sure what to expect with this one. I had heard the name before, but I didn't know this band's music at all. And I know I'm going to butcher the name, but Ratos de Poreo, which I believe means basement rats. Now this album is fantastic. I was really surprised by how much I enjoyed this. Unlike the other bands I showed, which are definitely all thrash bands, this too is thrash metal, but it's crossover thrash. It's got more punk influence than some of the other bands do. A little less metal, a little more towards the punk side of things, but still very much metal, still very much thrash. Like I said, crossovers. I hate comparing bands to other bands because then you tend to think they're like copycats, and that's not the case. But I mean, I don't know, DRI, maybe your SOD, The Crucified, that kind of sound, you know, where you still have that punk influence, especially in the delivery of the vocals, but you have the overall thrash metal music. And anyhow, fantastic. Really glad to discover this band. And along with that, he also sent a Ratos patch, which I thought was cool, as well as a Sepultura patch. So I dig both those very much. So again, Marcos, thank you for those, and really enjoyed this one. I think this is I'm gonna say this is probably my favorite discovery out of the whole package, because I just hadn't heard this band. I'm not sure I would have picked it up based on this cover. I mean, it's a pretty funny, goofy cover, but it's just not something that would have, you know, popped out to me. But I really enjoyed it. So, all right, next up, I got two more records I'm going to be showing. One more that he sent in this package, and one other one that's not from him. But here is the next card in the series. This is actually just 2 cards left, because the last card he kind of did some more personal notes. Unfortunately, on this note here, he says, please do not send anything to me because it will get stolen in the post office or at customs, which that's a shame. And I have sent things to Brazil before. I had a guy buy a DVD from me from My Band Once Dead, and I had to send the DVD 3 times before he finally got it because it kept getting stolen. It's just unfortunate. But yeah, this last band is from 1986. This is Signo de TAURUS. Sign of the Times, I believe that means, or let's see if it actually says in here. Sign of Taurus from 1986. And again, this one's a little more melodic than some of the others, but again, thrash metal. This is the one I haven't quite absorbed as much as the other ones. I've only heard it once, like what I heard, so I'm going to listen to it some more. But again, speed metal, thrash metal, lots of heavy, classic heavy metal influences, but still, exactly what you expect from a thrash metal band. Again, this is a reissue, very nicely printed. I love the stock they printed on. It's kind of a velvet stock. I'm a graphic designer, what can I say? I like paper. They come with this really cool insert. Actually, so did that Ratos. I should take that out and show it to you. Even though the images aren't so nice, but this one came with a gatefold. Lyrics. What I can only assume is a biography that is in Portuguese, so I can't read it. And then, of course, the mandatory collage, and I love collages. I do them all the time. I like seeing pictures of the band. I love getting to learn about the band. I love getting to see, just signs of the time. Sign of Taurus. So I really think that's cool. Let me show you that. Let me go back. Just want to also show you the insert to the Ratos. I think the vinyl is just black, so that's not a big deal, but could be wrong. I don't remember now. Yeah, it's black. But check out the insert. Again, very nice insert. Gatefold. Unfortunately, that's kind of a rough photograph. Kind of see a dog living in total trash and disease and unfortunate. But and then the inside has kind of what looks to be lyrics and whatnot. What looks to be like a newspaper. So very, very cool. All right, and then the last one, which did not come from Marcos, but I just thought fit into this one, so I thought I'd share it. This is one I was going to show in an upcoming live albums or bootlegged albums video, but this is Sepultura once again, and so this is obviously very fitting in here. Above the Remains, official bootleg live in Germany, 1989. And I believe this is like 8-song live album. I believe from the Beneath the Remains tour, so this is when they were just pure thrash metal, far before they got into all the tribal sounds in Chaos ID, and then especially on Roots, Bloody Roots. But just great sound. I assume it was either officially recorded and never released, or perhaps it was a radio recording, but the sound quality is great on this thing. The band's on fire. You can tell they're young and still hungry, and the crowd is just outrageous, and you can just feel the energy coming off the crowd, and the band feeding off that energy. That's kind of one of the things I love about live albums, is you kind of get that energy that you can't get in a studio recording. So this is fantastic. So this is a recent release, maybe a year or two ago. Limited edition red vinyl, previously released live album 1989, Beneath the Remains tour, official bootleg for October 2016. And I picked this up fairly cheap, so yeah, keep an eye out for this one. I've seen it on eBay and I've seen it on Amazon, so it's not like it's hard to find, but well worth it if you're into thrash metal, if you're into Sepultura, or if you're just into heavy metal at all. So there you go. That's my vinyl updates, all Brazilian metal. Once again, thank you, Marcos, and thank you guys for watching. Appreciate you all watching. Go ahead and leave comments below and let me know what you think of these records, or if you have suggestions for other Brazilian heavy metal or thrash metal bands that you want me to check out. I welcome that as well. So that's it. God bless. Stay strong.